Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, brothers and sisters. Happy Ramadan. This morning I'll continue to talk on the subject of religion and belief, because it has to do with the future, and therefore I think it is very important subject for me to talk to, where I know I'll get the benefit of giving this talk on the subject of religion and belief. And for those of you who listen to this talk would also get the benefit from it, because my talk is based on reading the Koran. I'm happy to tell you I just bought a new Koran, a small one, and easy to carry about. I just bought this yesterday from a bookshop in the town. So I will base my talk on reading the Quran, and this Quran I have the new one. Is slightly different from the older one, because it has the translation written on above or below the Arabic words. So when I read this Quran, this my new Quran, I will also read to you the Arabic word which then will be learning the Arabic words as well. And this is the new benefit we'll get, that I'll mention the Arabic words and also the word in English. Because the writing is small, so it's quite strange to my eyes, but I have a magnifying glass to help me to read the small writing. So what I can recast this morning, let's see from the Quran what I can recast. Let's see, I think it was on page 27 or 29. No, it's 28. Oh, it's about the writing of will. It is compulsory to write a will. So before the person die and he know he's about to die, or then he is leaving his will to his children, it is compulsory for him to write the will to distribute the wealth among his children, wife, and relatives, maybe parents as well. But then the Quran, Allah also revealed that if the will he wrote or she wrote is very unfair, not only unfair but very unfair, just like giving a child a son something and the other son got nothing, then Allah revealed that the will can be changed in accordance to the rule of religion. That is a knowledge called Faride. But if it is fair enough means acceptable, making his children happy or no complaint, then it is a must to follow the will written by the owner of the wealth. So religion of Islam respect the will written by the person, but just in case it's very unfair or not acceptable because of being unfairness, then it could be changed, no problem. There's mentioned there's no sin to change it according to the revelation by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's complete my recast in the Quran. So let's recast on reading the Injil or Gospel of Barnabas. I think it was about the disciple of Jesus who has said people who are uncircumcised is like a dog. But Jesus was not too pleased with the saying of disciple, and he sort of giving honor to the dog. The dog obey his master. But then the mankind can be not obeying his master, like not too thankful to what his creator or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given the mankind, like the benefit given to mankind is more than the benefit given to other creatures. But then, instead of thanking the Creator who give this benefit, the people are still rebellious to his or her Creator. I think that complete my recast on reading Injil or Gospel of Barnabas. So now let's do what we normally do, reading the Quran. Before that, I like to take my magnifying glass. Okay, I have my magnifying glass ready. I think we should read page 29. Here it is. To get the barakah of this morning, let me read the first sentence in Arabic. So the sentence on page 29 start with sentence 187. It lasts sentence 190. So let's look at the subheading. Wow, this book has no subheading. Yes, so it's lacking in subheading. So now we will not be reading any more subheading. We'll just read through. We're still on second chapter, Surah Al-Baqarah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ukhilla lakum laylatis siyamir rafasu ila nisaikum kunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahun. Alimallahu an libasul lahun, alimallahu annakum kuntum tahtanun anfusakum fataba alaikum afa ankum fal'ana basiruhunna وابتغوا ما كتب الله لكم وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل ولا تباشرونهن وأنتم عاكفون في المساجد تلك حدود الله فلا تقربوها كذلك يبين الله آياته للناس لعلهم يتقون صدق الله العظيم. Rather long sentence. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's see what it means. Allow to you in the month of fasting uhil meaning allow. Uhil, the words look like halal. I think the meaning written here is also halal. Halal for you, lakum min for you. Laiti mean in the night of fasting. Rafasu meaning mix meaning I think is understood. Mix with your wife, meaning that in the month of fasting there is no problem to mix or to sleep with one's wife. As they are like your garment and you are like their garment. Allah knows. Allah knows that you would not able to resist the temptation of wanting to mix with your wife or the other way. Allah accept your repentance. Then mix with your wife and look for what is being said by Allah for you. And eat you and drink you until it's clear for you the thin light from the thin white light from the thin black light or no light from the morning. Then start your fasting until night comes. Then don't you mix with your wife in the time of your fasting. If you are in the masjid, don't you be near with your wife or refrain. Allah made it clear to people so that they look after what is being forbidden. So it is clear in this month of fasting, no mixing husband and wife during the fasting month, but at night no problem. Allah allow it because Allah knows that people would not able to withstand the temptation of having time with husband and wife. So next sentence, don't you eat your wealth don't you eat your wealth among you in the way that is forbidden, and don't you bribe the judge with the intention to get the wealth from others in the way that is a sin, whilst you know. So it's very, very forbidden. So don't play with the code. This is hard warning. Don't try to bribe the judge. Bribing the judge, I believe it happened in this world. Ask you, Muhammad, with regard to moon crescent, say to them, Muhammad, moon crescent is a way to tell the time for mankind to perform, when to perform ibadah of Hajj. So what this mean, brothers and sisters? It tells, the moon tells the month. So there is a phase on the moon. We know that one full moon to the other full moon is on the 15th, on the middle of the month, and the crescent, which is just visible, is the new month. So that tells the coming of the new month and the closing of the month. So the moon crescent tell us the month, and the month is named and counted, and there is a month to perform, whereby the month to perform ibadah of Hajj, which falls once a year. And it is not appropriate, to enter a house from the back door, but the goodness for people who fear. So if you go to your friend's house, don't knock at the back door. Go to the house, enter the house from the front door. And enter the house from the door, and put a trust to Allah, so that you are the people who would be gaining. So meaning they're gaining, avoiding making sin. So it says here, enter the house from the door. So enter from the back door. Maybe just entering. Maybe from through a hole, or not a door. So meaning here it says the door. So maybe it doesn't mean back door, because if there's a back door, it's still a door. But so the best place is normal place to enter a house. Just be caution is to enter from the front door, which is normal, isn't it? So last sentence, fight those who attack you. Fight in the way of Allah, but then don't go to the extreme. Allah does not like people who are extremists, meaning that don't overdo when you fight. Just fight to the people who fight you after they had been killed. That's it. Don't become extremists. So what does this mean? That the proof that Muslims are not to become extremists. Let's see. I have explanation here of people entering back door. I'm not clear with this meaning, so I'll just don't try to explain this one. But what I have explained to you is good enough. Okay. I think that's all my reading on the Koran. So now let me read the Injil or the Gospel of Barnabas to you. Okay, zip it on. Okay, brothers and sisters. Okay. Mentioned here is chapter 23, origin of circumcision, covenant of God with Abraham, and damnation of the uncircumcised. Okay, I think I need to read this chapter 23, and let's see whether I can read chapter 24 as well. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Chapter 23. Okay, it is also related to some sentences of the previous chapter. So let me read some sentences. Then said the disciple, "Tell us, O Master, for what reason men must need be circumcised?" Oh, that is a good question. Why? So Jesus answered, "Let it suffice that God has commanded it to Abraham, saying, Abraham, circumcise thy foreskin, and that all thy house, for this is a covenant between me and thee forever." So the reason is because Allah asks us to circumcise. So we suffice you that God has commanded. So that is the reason. I think other reason is also when we worship Allah, we need to be clean because urine is considered as unclean if urine fall on your shirt and then you perform salat or worship. Your salat or worship is void because you have something unclean on your clothes. So this is known that I have learned in religious school when I was young. So your clothes that you use to pray or worship should not have urine, and for that reason, after a Muslim urinate, it is important to clean the part that where you urinate comes out from your body, be washed with water. So is the path that your waste product come out from your body need to be cleaned with water. If you don't do that, you would be in trouble, because there is a mention of the prophet when someone who don't clean up with water, then he would be punished. So Jesus only answers you that God has commanded it to Abraham. But in Islam, not doing this, not circumcised. I remember when we pray together, the Imam don't allow anyone who had not circumcised to pray in the front row. So the 12 years old, 11 years old, 10 years old who had not circumcised had to pray at the back row. But when they are already circumcised, they were allowed to pray at the front row. Something like this I have observed. So let me read. Having said this, Jesus sat night on the mountain which they look upon, and his disciples came to his side to listen to his word. Then Jesus said, Adam, the first man, having eaten by fraud of Satan the food forbidden of God in paradise, his flesh rebels against the Spirit. Therefore he swore by saying, By God, I will cut thee. Okay. So this is another reason that Jesus explained, By God, I will cut thee. So his flesh rebels against the Spirit. And having broken a piece of rock, he seized his flesh to cut the sharp edge, to cut with the sharp edge of the stone. Thereupon he was rebuked by angel Gabriel and answered, I have sworn by God to cut it. I have sworn. And he answered, and Adam said, I have sworn by God to cut it. I never be a liar. Then the angel saw him the fluidity of his flesh, and he cut off. Meaning that he cut off. It means that maybe the part that he cut is the part that we remove when we circumcise. And then, just as every man take flesh from flesh of Adam, so is he bound to observe all that Adam promised with oath. This did Adam observe in his sons. From generation to generation came down the obligation of circumcision. Now we have the answer. Circumcision was first done by the first man created, our big grandfather Adam. But in time of Abraham, there were but few circumcised upon the earth, because that idolatry was multiplied up the earth. Whereupon God told to Abraham the fact concerning circumcision, and made this covenant, saying, the soul that shall not have his flesh circumcised, I will scatter him from among the people forever. The disciple trembled with fear of this word of Jesus, for which vehement of spirit he spoke. Then said Jesus, leave fear to him that has not circumcised his skin, for he is deprived of paradise. Having said this, Jesus spoke again, saying, the spirit in many is ready in service of God, but the flesh is weak. The man therefore that fear God ought to consider what the flesh is, where it had its origin, whereto shall be reduced. Of the clay of the earth created God flesh, and into he breathed of life when in breathing therein. And therefore, when the flesh shall hinder in service of God, it ought to be spurned like a clay and trampled on. For as much he hated his soul in his world, shall keep it eternal. So, what is said here, the flesh shall hinder the service of God. So people who had not been circumcised are hindrance to the service of God, because there is few people who are not circumcised that accumulate below the skin, and that dirt originate from urine and is considered as dirt, a hindrance to the service of God. So Jesus also mentioned that, and my experience of not Imam not allowing people who had not been circumcised to pray in the front row. What the flesh at this present it desire make manifest, that it is a harsh enemy of all good, for it alone desired sin. All then men, for the sake of satisfying one of his enemies, to live off pleasing God his Creator, consider you this, all the saints and prophets have been enemies for their flesh, for service of God. Therefore, readily with gladness they went to their death, so as not to offense against the law of God given by Moses his servant, and go to serve the false and lying gods. Remember Elijah, who fled through the desert places of mountain, eating only grass, clad in goat skin. How many days he suffered not, and how much cold he endured. How many showers drenched him, and that for the space of 7 years, wherein endured that fierce persecution of the unclean Jezebel. Remember Elisha, who ate barley bread and wore coarse raiment. Verily I say unto that day, not fearing spurn the flesh, were feared with great terror by the king and princes. Despise for the spurning of the flesh, O men, for if you will gaze at the sepulchres, you shall know what flesh is. So, this page 23 explained that origin story of circumcise. It starts from Adam. So we should be getting a lot of information from here, from reading this gospel, and it is clear here the uncircumcised hinder the service of God. So it is the same kind of teaching I've experienced in Islam, because gospel or Injil is also revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to believe and prove that there is consistency between what is revealed to Jesus and what was revealed to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and hopefully what I just talked this morning give an insight of what the subject on circumcision and where it originates. With that, I leave you. Thank you very much for listening.